Okie dokie artichoke. How's everybody doing tonight? All right, it's your boy Star Charger, man. Welcome everybody. If you've all joined in here early to the second episode of the StarDock StreamCast, and I'm glad to see if I can get any of you all aboard. So we would have gone through episode two here last week. If not for me having to battle influenza B, also known as, of course, the flu. And so we went through those kinds of struggles last week. We had the fever. I was just thanking God it wasn't COVID. Thanking God it wasn't anything that my body hasn't processed before. And so, yeah, we managed to kick that out of my system uh, easily enough, especially after I've spent a week basically on my own doing so. And then, of course, got sent to the doctor now that I finally have health insurance through my job, and I wound up getting the prescriptions that I needed rather, in order to make sure that all of it wound up getting kicked completely out of my system as a whole. So I'm definitely very grateful that all that's now gone, and really it's just a matter of coughing up a lot of the last remnants of what was there. So with that, thank you for everybody that sent a lot of the best wishes that have come my way as a result of that particular challenge. And I definitely hope to continue to improve, health-wise moving forward. Especially now that starting to cough up a whole lot less of that junk, and so now I'm actually breathing a lot better. So who knows? The sickness may well have been a very big blessing in disguise, in spite of what could have been. So, for whatever it's worth, I'm very happy and glad that we managed to, get all that kicked to the curb. That said, of course, having the opportunity that I did while I was working at home, I've been working at home the last week and some change. Managed to, of course, keep track of some things that have happened within the communities here in the FGC. I mean, first things first. I mean, tonight, of course, was not only the WePlay tournament, rather the start of it with the 2v2 tournament that was just won a few moments ago by Verk and Dizzy. So congratulations to both of those two. Verk showcasing full well what I've known ever since, of course, Mortal Kombat 11 started becoming the mainstream thing for the NRS community, and that he truly is somebody to watch out for on and offline. So it was very interesting to see that he grabbed the W with Dizzy over there in the Ukraine tonight, where they're playing those Steam tournaments at 5 o'clock in the morning over there. I understand keeping people up on their biological clocks, but that's pushing it. Oh man, that is pushing it. But that said, yeah, I'm feeling great, man. Thank you so much for asking. I much appreciate it, and I'm definitely hoping to continue to get better health wise. So, yeah, all that's going down, of course, this weekend with the WePlay guys who have hosted some pretty dynamic tournaments in the past with a lot of different other games, whether they be LAN events with first-person shooters, or doing the work that they've done with well, with MOBAs. I mean, WePlay is actually very legit, and when you take a look at the venue that they have going for everybody that got invited to compete there this weekend, it's pretty legit stuff, man. It's a very legitimate setup that they've got going on over there. Hell, they even have all of the casters dressed up as Mortal Kombat tournament hosts in the full robes and everything, as if Shang Tsung was the one supplying their threads. So hey, gotta give them a lot of credit if they were willing and able to go that far. Yeah, congrats to them putting on what looks to be is going to be a nice event for this weekend. And amidst all of the things that have been going down over here for the future of MK11 and the NRS community. But even in the midst of such really good stuff that's been happening with the community with WePlay, and then of course there's Destroyers Clash of the Realms, which got underway this week. Yeah, the first week I need to take a look at whether or not it actually wound up getting going in terms of uh, if this first week is completed or if they're in top eight right now and they're just awaiting completion of this first week in that circuit being hosted by Destroyer. But that said, a lot of things are cracking right now for the NRS community in terms of competing right here in MK11 Ultimate. But that said, it's worth noting that in spite of everything that's going on right now, it's still something worth bringing to the forefront that even though tournaments and a lot of events, even offline events, run to the degree and the production value of WePlay, have now started to come back and take a little bit of root again. The numbers right now for the game in terms of overall viewership, in spite of the efforts of everybody, it really has to make you wonder when you put it all into perspective because on any given day, when you look at the numbers of Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, when everybody's streaming it, everybody, myself included, whatever the case may be, are all streaming it on our days. We're very lucky to pull in, 2,500, 3,000 numbers, and that's if somebody like Sonic is streaming, or if Ninja Kill is streaming, he's gonna easily be pulling in anywhere from 12 to 1,500 and any given stream that he has. I mean, and right now, when you think about that, when you put that in perspective, and then you put in perspective that tonight, a lot of the viewership for the WePlay 2v2, in spite of how hype it was, it only wound up getting to a point to where it was peaking out at about 3.7 thousand, if that. And yeah, that's actually a fairly frightening thing to think about when you consider that that tournament is actually an invitation where everybody was flown around the world to compete for $60,000 plus. So it's definitely something that you have to wonder, about the state and the support of the game right now, not just from the competitive community, but as far as all the eyes around the FGC, NRS community, and beyond, and just where the interest in the game lies, to the extent that a lot of folks. I don't know if everybody's, of course, been spending a lot more time playing a lot of things elsewhere, which I've expanded my portfolio to other games. I've used a lot of this time to play a lot of other different games myself, but it's yeah, it's just one of those things where uh, you have to wonder if a lot of the things that NRS did not fix in MK11 Ultimate has proven to take so much of a toll on the community as a whole that in a lot of ways, not even gathering some of the world's best talent together in a tournament like this is enough to actually bring more of those eyes to the forefront. So it's, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Probably we're being pedantic about it, but then again, to be fair, we have been letting NRS know about a lot of the pitfalls that the game's had ever since its release that have still yet to be rectified, whether it be a Wi-Fi filter for a combat league, all the way to anti-airs and certain moves not being addressed, of course, in characters' basic toolkits, to breakaways, fatal blows, a lot of craziness, still in the game right now that really takes away from what it could be, even now that custom variations have now become the mainstream strategy here within not just the casual community, but competitive and basically all the way around. Now it's gotten to the point to where you can still round out your toolkit to suit while you want to use a character, but by that same token, rather, you look at the balance of the game overall, even with the customs now becoming more prevalent, and you see that a lot of the things in the balance that have not changed, that are still, if that are probably just as nutty, if not nuttier than they were before, because a lot of characters' basic toolkits haven't been retooled to really help them out to a very uh, dynamic degree, as much as those top tiers have that were really built to play MK11. I mean, everybody can make with it, what they will, in terms of whatever characters they've got, but There's a lot of characters in the game whose toolkits, in terms of the degrees that they can help them, vary tremendously more negatively than the degrees that the top tiers and their toolkits can really help them play the game as a whole. I mean, it's just all come down to who was tailor made to play Mortal Kombat 11 and who wasn't. And unfortunately, you're not going to get too much assistance from QA in terms of really trying to, get a good voice in their ear on what's not right and how to fix it, because it seems like no matter what's been brought to their attention, not only do they not want to hear it, but of course nothing gets done about it for the most part. I mean, they added armor breakers to help us deal with breakaways, but only certain characters have very practical armor breakers in order to make that work. And then you've got characters that breakaway literally winds up turning a very negative, what should be a negative situation for their opponent, into a very positive situation when they break away from certain moves. And after they get clipped out of the air, for example, and next thing you know, the player that earned the opportunity on the airborne opponent that got hit is now in more danger of absorbing a combo than the person who broke away and that got clipped out of the air in the first place. And that kind of logic is definitely, you know, that example. There's many more of those types of examples peppered around throughout the meta of Mortal Kombat 11. So really, really stings. Uh, it really stings that a lot of that hasn't been addressed, and no matter how much you try and bring it up to the devs' attention on what characters need to have some aid in that regard, it just never seems to want to get fixed. So it that really bites, but I mean, that's unfortunately the game that's being played right now, and it's not gonna stop me from seeing how everybody does over in the WePlay tournament over in the Ukraine. I mean, it looks like a very interesting mix of international talent that is going to be very interesting to watch, and I really cannot wait to see just exactly who comes out on top and all of that. Especially given the fact that you're not seeing a lot of usual suspects over there for whatever reasons or another. Whether they decided that it wasn't worth it to travel due to COVID, whether they decided the tournament itself wasn't worth going to, because believe it or not, I've actually heard rumors that that has been the case with certain competitors. Although you look at the production, the job that WePlay has done over there, and the fact that they've been able to put an offline event in these trying times during the pandemic, I mean, who wouldn't want to have an opportunity to check that out if they had the time and the availability to do so? But then you look at, everybody has their reasons, of course. I mean, everybody, of course, there's no Sonic there, there's no Dragon, no Scar, no Rewind, no Deoxys. There's a lot of guys that you would have figured would have been shoe-ins to say, yeah, hell yeah, let's go ahead and go over to the Ukraine and take a look at what WePlay's got to offer. And a lot of them, of their own volition, chose not to go because of other obligations, or, like I said, their own volition. So it's very refreshing to see some other guys have a chance to go and have a chance to really showcase what they're all about. And my boy Too Easy's over there. I want to give a special shout out to him. I hope he definitely does his thing and kicks some tail over there. Definitely did his thing in the 2v2, where he and Conqueror made it very far. The Brazilian Sub-Zero made it far in the no mains, no secondaries 2v2. So I'm very proud of my boy over there, Too Easy, who's been on his grind in this game, and yeah, I definitely hope everything's going well over there for him. So big shout outs to my boy AJ. But it's just very crazy. I mean, to be honest with you, I think that in order to really garner more interest, especially with a game like this, where you've got a lot of different mixes and matches of different kinds of character archetypes, playstyles, whatever the case may be, I really think that in order to make this game's popularity and in order to help its competitive popularity expand to a good degree, that you really need to consider team tournaments to be the new norm. Whether it's like sponsorship team tournaments where guys are all under one banner, or national team tournaments where guys of course, representing their respective nationalities or teammates, and whatever the case may be, man. It's just one of those things where it makes a lot of sense that a multiplayer team-based environment is what has the potential to really carry a lot of the day. I've been saying that for a lot of years now too. I've been really saying that since the MKX times when esports was really coming to a head right there, of course, with EXL. And then, of course, when the ESL days came and gone, and we were in the limbo between ESL and all the things that were happening, of course, Combat Cup, uh, leading up to the Injustice 2 days, of course, with the pro competition, or the pro series, I'm sorry. I was always saying that it would be a good idea for team tournaments, especially, team tournaments where guys are all under one banner, in terms of organizations, all that good stuff. It would be a good idea to actually make that the norm and actually allow that to become the new mainstream in order to really carry a lot of the day competitively speaking. Because when you look at a lot of the sponsors, like a lot of the big time corporate sponsors and whatnot that actually have put their hands in the esports and funded a lot of teams getting a lot of funding from a lot of spots, of course, like Panda Global being, partners with a lot of different sponsors like Geico, for example, Toshiba, and among others, having those same kinds of hookups, you could attract more of that kind of attention, more of those kinds of eyes, and more of that kind of funding into the community if we actually did adopt more of that mindset to actually go in that direction. I mean, hell, right now, Sony actually has a very good hand in NRS esports as a whole with everything that they've been doing with their platform tournament series that's been going on both here in the U.S. and the U.K. Or not the U.K., but just the U.K., but of course Europe. And so you see a lot of how that's been forming. You have a little bit of an iron that's kind of lukewarm, but you have a way to heat it up to the point to where it's red hot and it has the capability of really helping things go to a whole new level if you're willing and able to invest the time and invest the format into making that work. I mean, team tournaments, if you ask me, are always the way to go when it comes to fighting games. I mean, hell, you take a look at I mean, hell, even if you look at the 10v10 Texas v Florida, the hypest point in MK11, even up to this point, even though it was already a year and a half ago. Which, man, you got to really think time's really flying. It's actually been over a year and a half now that we're in December here of 2020. But yeah, 2021 cannot get here fast enough. Of course, rest in peace to the legend. Uh, Rest in peace to the legend Tommy, who was the actor of Debo. I mean, it was so horrible to see Tommy Lister that he passed on, and yeah, very much thoughts and prayers out that way. I mean, 2020's been a grind of a year. It really and truly has, and definitely hope everybody's out in good health no matter what. No, we've gone off to a tangent, but still, it's never too late to go ahead and wish everybody good health, wish everybody good fortune. Hope everybody that's watching right now, definitely finding a way to make it through this crazy year. I see some of you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, and I definitely thank you all for your opinions on all of this. So, um, yeah, as far as of course continuing on with expanding the format of NRS and the community competitively speaking into something of a team tournament. I mean, you have those eyes when we do have them on us, whether it be on social media, through our Twitch streams, through all the mediums with which. Hold on, just a second. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Had a little bit of a audio malfunction, but anyways, as I was stating, you take from those guys' perspective from the outside looking in, they also, I mean, they got to be willing to embrace the mentality of the FGC, which is still very much new to the realm of esports. I mean, when you look at the NRS community, we've been in esports now since the late MK9 days when MLG got involved in 2012 with MLG Columbus, of course. Ever since then, the NRS community has basically embraced esports because back then, especially when we were still considered the redheaded stepchilds of the FGC, this was a good way for us to branch out and really become like our own community, have our own thing that not many other people have been willing to invest in for the long term and actually turn into their founding way, their ultimate way of doing things. The only other game really that wanted to do something of the sort, which was way ahead of its time, was during the World Cyber Games era when they actually did the same kind of thing with Dead or Alive, when Dead or Alive 4, and I want to say Dead or Alive 3. Back in the day, you'd have to ask legends like Master, Rakudo, and then of course Perfect Legend, who won quite a few of those back in the day. But by the same token, when you have those kinds of eyes on us, I mean, they look at a lot of the drama. It's going to be interesting because they got to embrace the entirety of the community, which means embracing a lot of the drama that goes on with the community. And this doesn't just stop with, of course, the NRS community. The FGC as a whole, has its fair share of good stuff that happens all the time. The beefs that range all the way into big time money matches, or just beefs that just range into guys just getting into people's faces, kind of like what you saw with Punk and 801 Strider at the Street Fighter League this past weekend. That was some funny stuff. That was a pretty interesting roast session, all because of guys overusing a monitor of all things. But when you look at some of the NR specific to the NRS community, when you look at some of the comments that were made directly towards, towards women and their stream. So there was a thread that was started by a gentleman. Forget Yeah, hold on. This is Black Thirst. I'm actually trying to find his name and trying to find everything that went down. But of course, I remember, essentially all of what really happened, and simply put, it was just a matter of a guy stating that it is easier for any female in the FGC to obtain clout. And the guy, if there's any which way you could obviously, really grill the man. I mean, I understood where he was going with what he was trying to say, but the way he worded it and the way he went about and the way that it was presented to everybody in the mainstream, uh, and the way that everybody reacted to it, the way it just blew up and had all kinds of spinoffs and had all kinds of backlash to it. I mean, that illustrates my point exactly what I was talking about when it comes to outside influences embracing the FGC and the NRS community for what goes on, because there's stuff like this that pops up, flares up, and then it has to find a way to hash itself out because of the fact that by and large we have a ways to go. So diving into that topic, which I said I would, the dude basically stated that it was easier for all female streamers to obtain clout just by being if you're a pretty girl, if you're a pretty woman, and you come on and start up your own stream, you start up your own content. It's easier for you to really get all kinds of eyes on you and do all kinds of stuff. To be honest with you, it was very subjective. It did a lot of injustice to some. It put a perspective on others, and on top of all of that, there's ways he could have elaborated on that entire point to really, illustrate, what he was trying to accomplish with that. Obviously, the way he worded it, obviously it was just a recipe for disaster. But but when you examine just exactly what was being said, my interpretation is, any woman that wants to come into the FGC but has more of their presence known through the realm of cosplay, through the realm, being proud of presenting their visage or whatever the case may be, or just flat out showing whatever they want in terms of their bodies or whatever the case may be. First of all, I don't judge on that. I mean, if anything, I observe, I do not judge. Because everybody has their shtick on how they want to differentiate themselves, not just within the FGC, but in any community. I mean, and to wit, it's just one of those things where, and then there are folks who are just legit content creators, of guys and girls that are straight up content creators that just do nothing but create content, create anything from matches, tech guides, strategy guides. You got guys that turn that into their realm of expertise, which is awesome. We need guys like that. We need all kinds of content creation like that, and that's another good reason why I've liked the idea of me continuing on with what I've been doing with my content creation. Although there are ways that I want to expand on that in the future. There are guys that just settle for that road, which is awesome. And then there are those, of course, that are, of course, the hardcore gamers, the hybrids that are gamers and content creators, just casuals, or those that actually go, of course, hardcore into competing, that actually try to make their name through actually going out to tournaments, competing in whatever kinds of circuits that they can, online, offline, whatever. Then this is something that, of course, girls and boys do. Now, when it comes to ladies coming into the FGC, the road has always been rugged in the sense that, especially for those that just want to straight up compete. They don't want to BS. They don't want to do anything that hinders, their competitive career. They just want to come in. They want to compete, learn about it with everybody else that's trying to learn the games, and they just want to blow and go just like everybody else. But of course, especially with the world of the FGC, especially with the way a lot of craziness can get exposed now with social media, it's a lot easier to vet a lot of the kinds of craziness that happened back in the day, to the point to where it's nowhere near as prevalent now, although it's more prevalent than it should be in terms of folks being too wild in the sense that they haven't had any home training when it comes to being around the opposite sex. All right, so that alone has made things very rugged, of course, for anybody, regardless of what realm they wanted to be in, competitor, content creator, model, cosplayer, whatever. Yeah, it's gotten to the point to where a lot of folks really go around with no home training. Okay, but when you consider the fact that there are those that put in the work to try and become competitive, top players, regardless of whatever gender they are, just become top player in whatever field they choose. But people can't look past, oh, there's a girl, oh, there's somebody that's trans or anything of that sort, and they can't look past any of that, and they get more reactions because of how they look than rather than what they're doing. Um, that that impact is one way to really interpret what was said, in the sense that, some folks, and regardless of what kind of skill they bring to the table or what they've done, they're getting more reactions, they're getting more response, they're getting more reception based on their appearance rather than based on what they're proving they can do in that game. Which a lot of folks in the cosplay community and folks that like to show off, some will like their visage, their bodies, or some of that like to show off, anything of that sort. You know, that the perception that they get in that particular sense definitely hinders the perception that a lot of the folks that compete or just content create, get, in the sense of, the whole clout debate. And this is another reason why it's really pointless getting into the whole clout debate when it comes to not just FGC but any gaming realm, because when you look at the way that all the links that people are willing to go to in order to get their name out there and become known for something. I.e. to get clout. It's become it's become a point to where a lot of folks really like to go to outlandish means. I mean, we've all of course seen, stuff like LTG streams and guys that love making a career out of raging or making a career. Like I said, I'm not judging them. I'm just observing. I'm just bringing to the forefront, certain sticks that folks have used in order to gain their presence. All right, but then they want to pass. Some folks want to pass off that kind of presence, or in some cases, sometimes you see cosplayers trying to pass off that presence and go into games, even though they might not be as good as hardcore player, competitive players. Some of those that have spent their entire lives or spent a lot of their time getting to that point, or vice versa, players trying to go into the cosplay realm or anything dabbling into that, and not quite as accomplished as those that have spent a lot of their time in it. It's all a race in order for people to gain some kind of presence. And in the case of ladies, females, it's just gotten to the point to where a lot, so you've got some folks that have the perception that, just because you're a girl and you come and play games, whether you're good or not, that's always going to nab perception. And aware too, it's true, because you've got some folks that are like that just go into a girl stream and just go in there, and we've all seen the stories on social media of guys using that as their way to shoot their shot, which I do not condone. I mean, let folks game in peace. Let folks game in peace on all of that. But ultimately, yes, when you come into if you're in the FGC and if you're a girl, there are going to be more eyes on you, especially if you come in and compete at the tournament scene. But by that notion, a lot of those ladies just want to come in and compete, and not have to deal with all the extraterrestrial BS that comes with having extra eyes on you just because you're a lady. I mean, that's not really not the kind of environment that anybody wants to be around. Be no different than me, like in the 70s or 80s, going and competing either in football or anything like that, and having all those eyes on me, not because of everything that I was doing on the field, but simply because of the way I look, the color of my skin, especially living over here in the South. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, it's just gotten to a point to where, whether you're a content creator, model, cosplayer, whatever, player, hardcore player, folks have their realms on where they just want to, have their stick. And at that point, it's best to observe and not judge, and for people to actually get some home training on how to treat each other. All right. Now, if that much could have been expanded on that particular point, I mean, if that point could have been expanded upon that thread on Twitter that had everyone in an uproar, in the sense that, of course, the dude was just making a sexist comment saying that if you're just a female, you're gonna automatically get more clout because you're a female, whether you're good or bad at the game or whatever the case. If there was a more coherent way of expanding on the point that was made, which he desperately tried to do in that thread, then he could have probably gotten a lot better of a response. But by the same token, on the other side of the pendulum, because my philosophy when it comes to making arguments like this or discussing arguments like this is that I believe the pendulum swings both ways. Meaning there's a side to every story, there's an opposite to every reaction. Of course, Newton's laws and all that good stuff, which of course this particular axiom of mine actually does equivalent to Newton's laws, but I digress. You look at the way the community just flat out reacted and just immediately went up in outrage, instead of actually maturely asking him to expand upon his point to the point where you could actually dissect his thought process on making such a bold and very broad statement where it impacted not just any one type of female or anybody in particular, but it painted a lot of folks with a single stroke of a brush, a wide stroke of a brush, and everybody was more in tune to be angry with him than actually take a mature route and try and discuss with him where he was coming from. The only one that I saw that actually was willing and able to discuss things with him when this gentleman made this statement was Ad Solo, which props to her and her maturity. Of course, her being an interviewer in the past, I expected no less. She went and asked the guy to expand upon his points, and he said a lot of things that were really somewhat parallel to what I just explained, but rather did not word things very well whatsoever in his broad statement that he initially made that caught the reaction. And so everybody was more in tune to just be completely and utterly mad instead of, and that goes in line with the FGC as a whole. The FGC has always had a very mob, hive mind like mentality, such that, you know, if one person has to be outraged of the party that is getting offended, in this case the ladies, then everybody must be outraged. There is no treading any line. There is no middle ground. If you're in the middle ground, basically it's in the middle of no man's land, in the sense that you go in that no man's land, you're done. Immediately shot down. Doesn't matter whether it's coming from guys on your side or the other side. One way or the other, you're done. I mean, that's the way a lot of our community tends to function, in the sense that there's hardly any debate. There's hardly any cognitive discussion on points. There's really hardly any cognitive discussion when it comes to really examining people's thoughts. There's just nothing but either overwhelming positive praise of a reaction or overwhelming outrage, in the sense that everybody must cancel you if they don't agree with you. And it's just to the point now where cancel culture has essentially taken over not just the FGC, but it's prevalent all over social media, where you say one thing where one side doesn't agree with it, you have to find a way to deal with the hounds of hell, in the sense that you're going to, you know, run the risk, obviously, of quote unquote being canceled, quote unquote getting deleted off the interwebs, whatever. It's just to the point to where either you run extreme on one side or run extreme on the other. And in this particular case, very few ladies thought, or anybody on, ladies, gents, whatever, came to the thought that it'd be a good idea to really examine everything that was said, or just what was trying to be said on that level, in spite of how poorly presented it was. Everybody was just more in tune to just flat out jump on the guy and just rip him apart, instead of really just trying to generate a discussion to really say, all right, can you lead us on to what got you to think this? And after he gives his thoughts, after you have a chance to pick his brain, then you say, all right, well, here's why I don't agree with you. Or, okay, I can see what you're saying makes sense. However, here's the way I see it. Or you don't see that these days. You just see guys just say, you know, look at this fool right here. Look at this clown right here. You know, look at this clown right here. I mean, of course, I can see where a lot of folks are coming from, in the sense, especially if you think about ladies, you know, of course, like Cuddlecore, who's been a monster in Tekken for as long as I can remember, ever since like Combo Breaker 2017, where I believe I saw her get top 8 with Tanakana up there on that stage, and really do their thing and rock out. I mean, ladies like that, nothing was given to them. Especially Cuddlecore, I mean, just working from the bottom and getting full-fledged to the top off of nothing but hard work, dedication, because you do it in Tekken. There is no cheap win in Tekken. I'm here to tell you right now, I've played Tekken on and off for years now, and I can tell you right now, when you win just a regular casual, when you run a regular casual game of Tekken, I guarantee you that it did not come cheap. It did not come easy. You win something in Tekken tournament wise or make top 8 in Tekken, you did something. And Cuddle Core's been doing that for years. Whether it's Combo Breaker, I believe I saw her, of course, in E-League, doing her thing on some E-League programs. And, a lot of things. And, of course, Tanakana, no different. Playing the game for a long time, got top 8 in that same Combo Breaker a few years ago, been doing her thing. Then you got other ladies like Kyan, been doing her thing in Soul Calibur for a number of years. In the NRS community, of course, we've got Infinity, who's been grinding like crazy over the last few years, trying to make a name for herself competitively speaking. Good luck to her over there at Ukraine, and along with Forever King. Good luck to them. You got guys like those that are hardcore grinders in their games that have earned every inch in the sense that they grind, they compete, and they earn their results, and then they continue to do so on streams, whatever the case may be, in order to showcase their progress, showcase their content. That's one way where you see those guys did not have anything handed to them because of how pretty they looked, how good they looked, whatever. If they were pretty looking at everybody's eyes, which, I'm just simply saying in the sense that, and how it's the general perception. I'm speaking generally speaking. I'm just speaking generally speaking when I say that. But when I say that, if they're pretty in everybody's eyes, that's a bonus. That's just a bonus. Just because they're ladies, that doesn't matter. They came out, they compete, they've earned their rights as competitors. They are competitors, first and foremost. I can understand, you got some folks that are very pretty or very famous in other realms that come into the FGC and then have a lot of eyes on them whenever they're playing a fighting game. But by the same stretch, you don't know where those eyes came from. You don't know whether those eyes came from what they did either as a model, cosplayer, playing other games, playing other genres. You don't know if those guys are really good at something else, and it just so happens that their following or their reputation preceded them when they came into a fighting game, and that kind of thing just wound up bolstering their presence when they were playing that fighting game, enjoying that fighting game, or trying to become good at that fighting game. You don't know. Perhaps that person has a personality that encapsulates many people that brings them into that stream, that allows them to actually get their streams or their presence off to a good start. I've seen it happen. Perhaps that person's a content creator and they decided to stream, themselves, their gameplay firsthand. And next thing you know, they've got a nice following doing so. And that's how everything gets kickstarted. Into possibly them going into a more serious competitive route. Or you never know. You just never know. The way a lot of that statement was portrayed was the sense that it was very judgmental no matter what realm you came in, and that's where all the outrage came from. But on the side of the FGC's now gotten to a point to where everybody, instead of thinking through everything with a logical mind to actually discuss, the point at hand, everybody was in a way or so proving his point in another sense in the grand discussion of clout, such that you had folks that were trying to get funny laughs out of reactions. You had guys that were trying to get big hits out of, quoting it, quote tweeting it, and then trying to let their followings, go after the man, attack the man, or just essentially, do something to bolster their profiles. And in that pursuit, all they did was, especially if they were ladies, all they did was prove him right. I'm not saying that the guy didn't deserve some negative, I'm not saying the guy didn't deserve to, you'll get popped a little bit in the sense that he worded it very poorly and put it out there very poorly, and because he should have very much thought about what he sent before he put it out there, especially considering how it could have been broken apart, considering how broad it was. But in the sense that the FGC just went and proved his point in the sense that everybody, whether ladies or guys, whatever, is very clout hungry. Everybody was chasing clout, especially with the reactions and the memes and whatnot that actually referenced clout. It really circumvented, that perception of what he was what he was saying, and that everybody, especially with ladies, getting all those massive hits that they got in the progressive culture that we've got right now, with everybody trying to, of course, be more inclusive. The thing is, the being more inclusive seems to also have the negative effect of, if you don't agree 100% with somebody, then you disagree with them 100%. And that's a problem, especially when it comes to communicating or just communication in general. I mean, you can't go around just thinking that everybody should agree with 100% of what you say on difficult topics or anything of that sort, because that's just not how the world works. Never has been, and it never will be. I mean, nobody's destined to be liked 100% of the time, although in a perfect world, it would be nice for something like that to be the case. But there's going to be disagreement. There's going to be, and even when the times when there's disagreement, there has to be a way for more cognitive and cooler heads to prevail, in the sense that we can talk about these things without needing to, be clicky and pick a side and say, either you're with us 100% or you're against us 100%. And it's automatically gotten to the point to where, guys are, so quick to try and cancel people before they're willing to talk to people. And that's been a problem within the FGC, especially now that we've become more isolated with the pandemic shutting everybody in, not having the face-to-face interaction that we normally enjoy under normal circumstances. So hopefully once things cool down, especially in the new year in 2021, when we get to see each other, have more offline events, and just have more opportunities to be ourselves and go travel and decompress with everybody that we know and love from around the scene, things will probably wind up getting better in that regard. But being as far away from each other as we have been over the course of this pandemic era, especially with the way that folks are, just been forced to stay at home, go mad, have more free time to really dive into things that have happened in the past and what have you, and more things get exposed. I think that'll be the ultimate way, the first step in trying to really help our community get a lot better, in the sense that we need to do a lot better job of communicating with one another. I mean, we're a little too. This is coming from an extroverted introvert. I mean, I like my own company, but at the same time, I know how to act when I'm around people. And I know how to talk to people. I know how to get around people. And that's what more people need to understand and embrace. We all need to be a lot better at communicating with one another, and actually communicating with one another, in order for issues like this to get hashed out without needing for people to call for heads to roll. All right, that's where I stand on issues like that, and that's where I stand on us needing to be better as a community, especially since now a lot of us, me, myself included, and now that I've had my 30th birthday, are getting older. We're getting old. We're friggin' adults now. There is no reason for us to be at a point to where we cannot communicate with each other with some sense and allow cooler and cognitive heads to prevail. Because I'm fairly certain that at this point, some of us have had enough home training to actually accomplish that much without having to really put down any group of folks, when we're all in this to do what we do best and do what we love to do, and that's play some games here in the FGC. That's my take on all of that. That is my take on all of that. I mean, of course, you're gonna have guys that really like to overly pander to women. You're gonna have guys that are, more stern than pro, guys that are more reserved. I mean, I mean, however which way I guess everybody wants to go. I mean, different strokes, different folks. Yeah, if everybody can learn to agree to disagree on that, then everybody's gonna be a lot happier because everybody's gonna be allowed to like and enjoy what they like and have their own particular and then have their own particular vices and virtues satisfied however which way they see fit. Okay? So it was a point that could have been made with a lot more grace than it was. But at the same, there was a little bit of validity in certain areas. There wasn't so much so in a lot of other areas, and it was easy to get offended one way or the other. But folks need to learn how to talk about that instead of going into full-fledged nuclear destruction mode. All right, save them tactical abilities for the game. Tactical abilities, love it. So, as far as that's concerned, I hope you guys definitely agree with all that good stuff, and uh, and yeah, man. And let me, and then now this is gonna be a point where I can take a moment to read some of the comments here, to go ahead and respond to uh, uh, some of y'all's thoughts on the same thing. I mean, no, you can't take anything away from any of the women that grind these games, man. I mean, they put in the same work, they play the same games, they put in the same time. I mean, if they come out and if they earn all of their merit through placements, they earn their merit through what they achieve competitively speaking, then at that point, man, you gotta respect everything about it. Respect the grind, respect it all. You gotta respect it all. I mean, on top of that, even of course, as people, we definitely need to be more respectful as people in the sense that if somebody's happy that they got a good placement on a local, if somebody's happy that they got good place in a regional, invitational, major, grand slam, let them be happy about that. Let them. I mean, that's another thing. People are so quick to try and either downplay or disregard folks' accomplishments, and that's been a prevalent problem within the FGC. Oh, it didn't mean much because such and such wasn't there. Oh, it didn't mean much because this amount of people were there. Oh, it didn't mean that much because such and such money wasn't on the line. Oh, it didn't mean much because it wasn't on this side of the country. Oh, it didn't mean much because it was in this country. Get a grip. Fighting games are hard enough to play, man. And all of us know how hard fighting games are to play. We play these games for pennies compared to most other esports sects within the gaming community, whether it be MOBAs, FPS, MMORPGs, whatever. They have massively more amounts of funding than we do, and sponsorship and team building than we do. But that said, our games, collectively speaking, are tens of times harder than their games are, because in more cases than not, their games are team based by way of teammates actually playing with each other in the game, as opposed to, of course, you being left on your own island in a fighting game. Everything's coming down to your own expertise, you mano a mano versus someone else. No sprites, no other computer interaction. It's just you and your opponent. That's why fighters are so tough, and that's why anybody who succeeds in fighters deserves a little respect. You used to model back in the day, man. That's what's up, Shadows. That's what's up, Dark. Yeah, that was Kiltron. Kiltron, yeah, Kiltron's a guy. Yeah, Kiltron's a guy, but don't worry. Yeah, shout out to the homie Kiltron, man. Well, I hope everything's going good with Troy and Team Kiltron, with Troy's mom, man. Really good folks, man. I'll never forget the time they housed me over at I believe it was NEC. Yeah, I believe it was NEC 2017 where they were so kind to bring me in and house me there. It was me, Troy, Forever King, and Illusions. We even played UMK3 together. That was fun. That was really fun stuff. I miss those times, man. That just goes to show, man. If you're young and you come into the FGC and you want to travel, do it. Do it. Go out there, make some friends, get you a scene. If you don't have a scene where you're at, who knows? You go to an event, you might wind up meeting somebody that's from your exact same area, and that's how you can get a scene going. That's how you can get a grind going offline when it comes to fighters. Stuff like that, minuscule things like that. Fun fact, that's how Combat Houston started out, in the sense that that's where Cat and Showtime met at EVO 2011. They didn't even know about each other. They didn't even know of each other prior to going there. Next thing you know, they run into each other at the tournament. They figure out they're both from Houston. And then, of course, Nabil and he and I met, Shankster, he and I met over at Texas Bar Fights over in, or Smiley's Bar Fights, Smiley's Bar here in Houston. And he and I grinded together. Cat and Showtime grinded together. And it was through a random Facebook message that I wound up getting in touch with Cat, and he wound up getting me in touch with Showtime. And that's how Combat Houston originated. I mean, you never know. You might be one offline gathering away from starting a community in an area that has no scene whatsoever. That's how a lot of scenes have gotten started. All right, but when you get you get all this pandemic junk going away, then I think things are gonna wind up probably going back for the better once everybody's able to travel, see their friends, decompress, compete offline, enjoy the hype that is the FGC. Whether you like MK11 or whether you like whatever game you play competitively or not, just being able to see each other, hang around each other, and have the opportunity to, of course, continue on with what we love, man. That's one way that I think a lot of these problems will definitely cure themselves. And then, of course, um, just some quick sign off thoughts. So if anybody's got anything if anybody's got anything that they want to add, yeah, let me know so that we can go ahead and talk about any of that, or go along with everything that's going on with the showcases. Which, speaking of, for those of you that are looking to compete in the showcases this weekend, Friday, of course, is the MK11 showcases, which all custom variations welcome. Um, yeah, that starts at 6:30 Central Standard Time. I don't know if we're gonna have a lot of matches in for tomorrow night. Right now, I think I've only got a very limited number of signups. Which, if that's the case, then I'll see if we can scrap together whatever matches we can, and just call that for the episode. Because, like I said, and like we all know, the MKX showcase, those didn't blow up in size and numbers overnight. That took a lot of time and effort, which, of course, the MKX showcases are going to happen, of course, this weekend on Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time as well. So, of course, I expect the usual suspects to be competing. I expect to see a lot of good action this weekend of Mortal Kombat, regardless of whether it's MK11, MKX. I expect to see a lot of really good effort on all sides on that. And for all the usual suspects that will be competing, of course, same time, same place. Definitely hope to see you guys there. Of course, if you sign up, please be ready so that when it's your turn, I can easily just send you your invites. You're already in. You guys have been getting so good at that. I really thank you. I praise you all for that, because that's helped trim down a lot of the running time of the showcases. Back when we first started doing them, when they were starting to have matches coming together in bulk on the under, mid, and main event cards, we used to see upwards of 8 hours worth worth of programming. Thanks to everybody now being ready and able to compete next to their invitations when the program starts, we're able to actually get that down to 5.5 hours, sometimes even as sub 5 hours. So yeah, so keep up that good energy. I definitely appreciate it when every single one of you makes the magic happen in that regard. And I also look forward to seeing some outstanding matches this weekend. Of course, everything's going to be uploaded to the YouTube. Be sure to follow along on the YouTube channel. Like, follow, subscribe there. Like, follow, subscribe here on the stream here on twitch.tv. And also, for those of you that are new to the stream and new to the platform in general, first of all, welcome. I definitely welcome you as a part of the StarDock community. And if, of course, you want to continue to interact with everybody in the StarDock community, we have a Discord channel. So if you go into the About Me section here on the Twitch page, you look inside of that bio section, you'll see the Discord link. You can go right there into the Discord community, the StarDock 28 Discord community, where you can interact with any and every single person that's come into our beautiful 50 plus strong community that we've built here in the last few months. So I definitely welcome more, the merrier. And if you want to keep track of all the developments that happen, not just with the Streamcast, the platform, and all the mediums that we use to upload all of our content, please follow along on Twitter as well at StarCharger28 so that you'll be kept up to date on everything that happens with the platform. Episode 2 of the StarDock StreamCast. Thank you all for watching. This has been a very fun episode to do. It's always very fun to put these thoughts out there for everybody to see, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy it and support it. And I enjoy seeing all of you in there that have continuously given the love right back. Much appreciated to every one of you as we go into the end of this episode. So, yo, thank you so much to everybody that's tuned in. Uh, Definitely appreciate all of you, and I definitely hope to see you guys on the next episode. I'll let you know on Twitter when that will air, and of course on Discord when that'll air. Look for this episode on YouTube here soon, and I will talk to you guys all very soon. Can't wait to see everybody in the showcases, especially tomorrow. 6:30 Central Standard Time, of course, and then Saturday Central Standard Time. Remember to post on Twitter what your user ID is on PSN and let me know which game you want to play, which day you're going to play, so that I can get you in the showcases. Thank you so much to every single one of you. You guys have enjoyed the rest of your night.